I'd like to introduce Martin Brechbiel, MMR, to talk to us a little bit about scratch building. Martin, welcome.
Good evening. Let me see if I can get my screen to share. Well, you know, it worked. Come on, there you go. Oh gosh. So, scratch building cars. Well, sort of. Part two, because part one was that Simpson kit about a month and a half ago or whatever. I did that. And let's see. And wouldn't you know it, it's another Simpson kit. But we're going to do something a little different this time. These are the instructions for a flat car kit. This is what you get, the template. It's either 36 feet or 40 feet. It's actually fairly useful. It's actually really useful to get you started on scratch building because you could just use the template and cut your own wood. There's a list there's the instructions, 1 through 8. Yeah, well, I love 8. Flip the car over again, install your deck, install miscellaneous hardware. Okay, hardware, you got a hardware list. You got a list because it's not included. You have to go get that yourself with one of these kits, if you can go find one of these kits. But be that as it may, you don't really need to go do one of these kits that badly. This is what you get in the box. That squiggly stuff is some really old monofilament line, which hit the trash can almost immediately because I never used the stuff. I never liked the way it looks. The interesting thing here is all these boards over here, and there's a whole nother bundle of boards. And when I opened it up, I was wondering, what the heck do I have extra boards for? And I thought, I have extra boards for extra fun. They're there for some reason. It must be for my fun. In this case, let's build 2 cars. So these are the ones that were loose. Those are the ones that were in the bag. That's my own strip wood out of my stock. Make a second car. And you have all the instructions. You just put it all together. But, you know, flat cars are kind of boring. They're kind of limiting. They're interesting to a point. You have to make them more interesting by themselves. So we'll move right along here. Let's install some underbody and truss rods, bolsters. I cast my own bolsters. That's just resin. Every time I buy 2 to 4 pounds of resin to cast things that I want for me, I pull out my bolster molds and maybe make 100 pairs of bolsters. I generally sell about half, and the other half I use pretty quickly just building cars. You just put a train line through. I was feeling really expansive on my budget, and I actually used brass castings for some reason, probably because they were laying there in front of me, and I thought, why not put them to work if they're not going to do any good sitting in the drawer. These are precision scale K-brakes and brake hangers. These are the old Berkshire Valley freight car levers, which are discontinued, but they're easy to make out of a little bit of styrene, or in my case, I just cast my own in resin and sand them to whatever thickness I need them to be. Truss rod, the turnbuckles are from Tichy. These clevises are actually Grant Line turnbuckles. And I just cut the ends off, and they make really nice clevises. Take the narrow gauge turnbuckles, cut the end off, run the, what is that? That's 25 thousandths wire, fits right in them very nicely, makes good plumbing. And of course, this is a surgical silk that I use. It's one single piece of surgical silk through the end, under, over, put the turnbuckle on, out the other end, back, forth, all 4 times. And every time you go through, you pull it tight as you can and stick a nut bolt washer casting in the end to hold it right where you put it. They're not on the queen post yet. They're already under tension. This little brake stirrup is just a piece of square brass stock soldered to a piece of flat stock with a hole drilled in it. Well, it's 3 holes, 4 holes actually. There's one here, one here, one here, one here. That one's where the brake shaft goes through. And I decided, well, I don't want another flat car. I want a gondola. I got to be difficult and say, I don't want one of those. I want one of these instead. So some more strip wood out of the box. These are, I think, 3x16s in O scale. And I think these are, I don't even know what size they are. They're around 4x4, but they may be 3x3s. And lots of NBW castings. I buy a lot of castings from Tishi. I put them on the inside and the outside of the car because if I want it to be empty, well, I'm going to have a bunch of unsightly holes hanging out on the inside of the car. So they need to have something in them. Put some castings in them. There's the flat car pretty much done. You can see here are the end truss rod bolts. After I trimmed off the surgical silk, there's a ratchet pawl casting. I cast those, my own molds out of resin. I want to say that's a precision scale brake wheel, but I'm not sure it is, to be honest. It is brass, however. Some nice old some grab irons in each end. And there's the gondola. And these are actually, I believe, they're the US Hobby or All Nation. They're kind of ancient, but they're nice and brass, and you can find them. And there's a little nut bolt washer in the 3rd hole in every one of them as I went around the car. Lots of fun working with little itty bitty tiny castings, drilling a hole, threading it through. So just assemble it all together, got a gondola. Seemed like a shame to paint the thing, but nice pretty wood. But so you can see how it looks. Came out pretty fair. It's not, the top's not removable in this one. I actually glued it in place with the side boards and ends. Slap some paint on the top. It's just, I don't know what color of gray that is. It's either Louisville and Nashville or Delaware and Hudson. I don't remember. It's whichever bottle of gray looked nice at the time. Really not that important at this point. What's on the bottom is Minwax. I hit everything, all the high points with black, steam black, and the rest is just Minwax dark walnut. You just slap it on. Works fairly well. It's a lot easier to do without the trucks and couplers on, so I can tell you I put those on after I put the stain on. Same story with the gondola. Worked out pretty well. I think these are Grant Line stirrup steps. They were in an unmarked bag I had. I managed to get rid of them doing this project. And you can see at this point, I've also picked up the truss rods and dropped them onto the queen posts. So this car is under real tension. And you can play a nice little tune with these if I actually knew how to tune them and play a tune. Little light weathering, just some chalks and pastels and what have you. I do this probably wrong by most people's accountings. I'm actually using a wet brush and pulling it out and wiping it off on one tissue and scribbling it around and erasing it and using a Q-tip and messing things around until I say, I think I should stop here before I make it worse. And that's generally a good place to stop. Same thing with the gondola, a little light weathering. I'm not even sure what colors these were. There's obviously some rust colors and some browns and blacks. The problem with these cars, though, is if you stop here, even with metal wheel sets in these, they're really, really, really light. I mean, we're talking 2 or 3 ounces light, even in O scale, which means the solution to the problem is to put something on them or in them. So this gives you an opportunity to clean out the miscellaneous castings and kits of things and odds and ends that you had laying around in that shoebox under your bench and make a load or make several loads or get rid of a lot of other stuff. So flat car, I think these were both Crow River kits. So I thought, well, put these together, lock them in with some wood. There actually are pieces of chain holding them down. That's all that's holding these down. In fact, I did not actually glue these two items onto the here. The blocking's glued down, but the actual items are not glued down. I sort of met in the middle on that. Sort of embracing the John Armstrong paradigm of loads. They aren't glued in place. If your car tips over, the coal does fall out onto the layout. So if these fall over, well, the chain may or may not hold them. Well, I don't want to find out though. But this added more than enough weight because these are all white metal castings. So, and they're kind of low to the car. They're not really high. So the center of gravity is pretty good. I'm not sure they meet NMRA standards, but if I need to add more weight, I'll find something else to add to the top. Okay, the gondola, that got a catch-all collection of just about everything that was left over in the shoebox. I've got, well, there's barrels and drums, and this is actually a fender off a tractor. These are two Berkshire Valley coal boxes, a bunch of tools, some gas cans. Not even sure what that is. More tools in the barrel, different tools in that barrel. Milk cans of some sort, a pile of bags. And so you can see there's all kinds of stuff here. Re-railing frog, all kinds of fun stuff. A couple of water bags, an oil can and a lantern, very precariously balanced on the end of the car, so don't hit any bumps on the track. Some tools, a little workstation, a little vise on it. The only thing I left off of this is a warm body, or the semblance of a warm body, to give it a little more simulated life. As soon as I find one that's suitable, I'll tack it in there. And that's where we're going to stop and call it at the end, and until I torment you again in the future. So let's see. Okay, there we go. I can stop sharing. And if anybody's got questions, I'm more than happy to answer them.
Martin, you are a true craftsman. No question about it.
Well, I slog about and flail about a lot, but try to have some fun with it. But the real take-home lesson here, of course, Jim, was, you got a template and instructions. You can build a second car, and you're scratch building it, and it's not that hard. And if you can build a flat car, you can build a gondola. I just showed you. And if you can build either one of those, you can probably build a box car, which means you can probably build a reefer, which means if you put a platform on each end, you can probably build a caboose. And if you put enough holes in the caboose, it's a passenger car. Boy, that's pretty easy. I left out tank cars and hoppers. They're a little funkier.
It's always been my philosophy. You can build a flat car, you can build anything.
Well, that was the take-home message of my article that was back in the NMRA magazine back in 2003, 4, somewhere in there. It's simple exercise. By the way, that if you go find that article, you'll find the first car I ever entered into the contest room at our divisional mini convention back around 2002, 2001, somewhere in there. I'd have to go look it up. That was the very first thing I ever entered into a contest, because I thought, well, this is a stupid idea, but I'll do it anyhow. What the heck? It can only hurt a little. What could possibly go wrong? And I got my first merit award. Actually, I got 3 of them that day, and I won the superintendent's plaque too. And I had a module I brought in, which I'd been encouraged to bring because I thought, I used it as an exercise on teaching myself how to build things. And somebody saw it and said, "Oh, you need to enter that." I'm like, really? Okay, what the heck? And that's what got the superintendent's prize. But it's stored under my layout somewhere, gathering dust if the mice haven't put a nest into it.
Martin, I'm going to look forward to you being back. This is fantastic information that you share with us. I can't thank you enough for being here.
I'm not sure what I'm going to do next week, but we'll figure it out.
Fantastic. I look forward to it.
Okay.
Now I'd like to introduce